Yeah, so the backstory is where I had decided, you and I have talked about this. I've been making marketing courses literally since the year 2000. I sold my very first product online in 1999.
Going viral by accident. We recently accidentally created a viral social media frenzy from a post about Ryan's retirement from digital marketing that sparked unexpected controversy and opportunity. Most entrepreneurs fear going viral for the wrong reasons, but what if controversy could actually be your biggest business accelerator? Here's what happened in our case and also how you can capitalize on accidental virality in your business. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Yeah. How about you?
I am doing well. I just want to know how is retired life going? I
Oh,
know that you posted that you were retiring from digital marketing in a nice black and white, kind of serious, somber announcement format, and I'm just excited to hear. I guess you're on the golf course, you're hanging out with the kids, you're probably traveling. What's going on?
yeah. Feet kicked up. Sleeping until noon, playing a lot of golf. No. Yeah. So the backstory is where I had decided, you and I have talked about this. I've been making marketing courses literally since the year 2000.
Yeah,
I sold my very first product online in 1999
that's a
and
quarter
kind of
century. A quarter century, dude.
a quarter of a century. So I'm 44 years old. I've been I've been creating marketing related courses for 25 years, which means I've been doing it longer than I haven't. Right.
Yep.
And it's because as long as I've been doing business, the thing about the marketing community, because my very first product online wasn't about marketing. It was literally a product on how to make your own baby food, which that's its own kind of story for probably a different, podcast episode. And I've always, had businesses that had nothing to do with, marketing and digital marketer and stuff like that. But at the same time, I've always talked about what I was doing.
Right.
And that came out of the earliest days of the internet marketing community where people were sharing and we were learning from one another.
Yeah.
And we benefited from the sharing of the stuff. And so I've always been teaching, always been sharing every year for the last, 25 years. But I kind of made the decision at the end of last year that I was going to produce one more training. It was going to be kind of the last one. And that was going to be my swan song. And that was going to be it. And there were a number of reasons why I wanted to do that. But yeah, I kind of made the decision that I was going to sail off into the sunset with respect to marketing, teaching, training courses. Posted up, and this kind of coincided with a big pivot we were making at Digital Marketer. Posted up the announcement. Didn't think much of it.
It was this picture of you kind of in a chair, full you,
Yep.
looking off into the distance, and it said, I think it said, "I'm retiring," or
Yeah.
"I'm retiring from marketing." I'm not sure.
It just said I'm retiring.
I'm retiring. Okay.
Yeah.
So, because I got a whole bunch of people texting me, "Oh man, what are you going to do now that Ryan's not? I guess y'all aren't doing anything anymore, et cetera, et cetera."
Yeah, and it was funny because it's the classic case of people not reading below the second line. And obviously, look, when I created the picture, when I wrote the post, I intended for it to be provocative.
Sure.
Right, of course, because I'm a marketer, and to me, this is my swan song. Right, this is kind of like I'm going out, and so I'm going to go out the way that a marketer should, by like let's have a solid headline. And so I wrote a really good headline. I had a really solid image to go along with it. We had a solid offer to go along with it, and I was surprised by how much traction it got. And I was surprised by how few people actually read. It's the classic case of kind of people only read the headline and nobody reads below that.
Yep. What happened?
So, I mean, I can tell you what wound up happening. The post, let's see. So far to date, I can go back to the original post, pull that up. So it's received, a couple 100,000 impressions, which is more than usual for me, over 300 comments, which again, I'm not particular. This is just on LinkedIn, where I'm not that active, haven't been for a very long time. Facebook, there was even more. Instagram, there was a ton. And again, I'm not super active on these different social channels. So a normal post for me might get 2,000 impressions because, like I said, I'm not a social influencer. So we're talking about, you know, a, a few hundred times the amount of engagement that it would get. And it was everything from, like you said, people being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, you're retiring completely, who didn't read, to people being like, this is awesome. This is so, cool. Congrats on the pivot,
Right.
both in your career and for digital marketer, because that's what it was,
Mhm.
to people being like really mad because they were like, how dare you? This is, I can't believe that you would, commercialize this, that you would say you're retiring when you're not actually retiring. And that was one that surprised me the most for a number of reasons. Because number one, I am retiring from something. I'm
Yeah.
retiring from something that for me has been a significant aspect of my life.
Yeah.
For me to say that I'm no longer going to create a marketing course when I've been doing it for 25 years, that is very much retiring from a pretty significant job. And for Digital Marketer, a company that has been in the training and certification space for the last 10 years, to say we're going to stop selling courses and certifications, that's a giant pivot. But I guess, in thinking about it, I get the cynicism because there have been a number of marketers, not to name names, who have said, I'm retiring, I'm pulling all my course off the market, buy them for a little bit, and then 2 weeks later, they're right back.
Well, and there,
And this is happening.
think about celebrities and musicians. How many farewell tours has Elton John and and people like that done? It's like, we're retiring, but now we're back. I think it's interesting. But you were actually honest in the ad. It was a a little clickbaity headline in that, hey, it's curiosity, and I should want to read more than that. I don't just read the headline and that's the thing. Because what happened to the people that are mad is they probably went out and told a bunch of people, and then somebody who had read the ad said, he's not retiring, he said he was pivoting. I'm like, what? So it embarrassed them or something. But let's talk about two things today. The first I'd like to talk about is why you posted that, because you are a private person and it's not something that you would typically share. What was the purpose of it? And did it achieve the purpose that you desired? And then let's talk a little bit about virality and how to take advantage of accidental, which is what this was, virality. Because you really, despite all the marketing that says that you can plan and create viral posts, the truth is you never know until you put it up there. So a lot of times there will be something, and then if you're not careful, it'll just slip away and you won't have taken the opportunity to optimize the benefit from it. So let's start with, why did you make the post in the first place?
Yeah, this is good because I haven't talked about to anywhere the full backstory, because I wasn't planning on doing it.
Yeah.
We had decided at Digital Marketer that this change needed to take place, that we needed to make this pivot. And I think that
What is the pivot?
I'm sorry?
What is the pivot?
So the pivot at Digital Marketer is, Digital Marketer, again, has been in the training and certification space, primarily selling courses, certifications, for the past 10 years. In 2015, we said that Digital Marketer is a certifications business. And over the last couple of years, that has just fallen off a cliff for a variety of reasons. Certainly post-COVID, there's not as many people buying courses anymore. Also, at the same time, you have big brands like, Meta is coming out with their own certifications. HubSpot is, and they're largely making them free. Obviously, there's more people on YouTube, and there's great content on YouTube. And then the emergence of AI just has a lot of people saying, I don't need to learn this because AI will just do it for me. So all of these kind of factors coming together, specifically in the marketing space, made it to where digital marketers' course sales were down to about 20% of what they were. Not down 20%, down to 20% of what they were. And that was if it was halfway decent. So we knew that if we didn't, change the business model, that this brand wasn't really going to be around or relevant at all in 12 to 18 months. Yep. So we knew that going into this year. And we knew the pivot that we were going to make, and we knew that we needed to make some AI related pivot. We didn't, going into the year, know what it was going to be. And we figured it out at the end of last quarter and then set about executing it this quarter. And that pivot is into AI enabled services. Right. And just briefly on that, I know you and Richard did an episode on it, but what we realized is that a far better use of our courses, instead of training humans, who, let's face it, humans don't actually go through trainings, like the consumption rate is terrible and the actual action rate, like people doing anything with them, is even worse. Let's not take our courses and use that to train people. Let's take our courses and use that to train AI, because AI is pretty smart, but it's not that smart, right? And so ChatGPT, if you ask it to produce you a marketing asset, it will produce you a marketing asset that is just kind of okay. But if it knows everything that Digital Marketer knows, if it's trained with all of our frameworks, models, our certifications, it gets really freaking good, really freaking fast. So that's what we said. Let's take this, let's train bots, let's train GPTs, and let's give people access to these. Yep. This will be our new business model. So that's the pivot that we're making. Okay. And if we're doing that, then it doesn't make sense to have our courses out there. And I said, you know what? In the context of this, I'm also going to announce that I'm not making any new courses, because I wasn't planning on publicizing that. But I'm like, I'll go ahead and do it. And I did that, I'll tell you, as much for me as a forcing function as for anything else. Like, I didn't think it was a particularly great hook.
Yeah.
I did it more so that I would have planted a flag in the ground to say, okay, I'm not going to do this, because I know it's my tendency to go back and you and I have talked about this. Yeah. Anytime, okay, got to generate some revenue. Ryan, go create a course, right? Yeah. And I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it. So that's kind of the backstory. So we're going to go out with this promotion. We're taking all of our courses off the market. Let's give everybody one last chance to get them all at one low price. That was the promotion. One last chance to get all the courses and training that we have in our library at one low price, kind of like what Disney does. Last chance to get it before it goes in the vault.